Hello students, today we are going to look at this exam question on the whiteboard. Okay, this is biology jump exam question. Okay, then question number one, we have the organelle responsible for sexual reproduction. You have to answer the question with the diagram. Without the diagram, you cannot answer the question. And this is a typical diagram of Paramecium, which have a slippers shape or foot shape. Okay, I've discussed this in one of our last videos. Okay, I told you that the Paramecium here move by the means of cilia. I don't need to explain the diagrams we have here on the diagram. So we need to answer the questions now with the label illustrated in the diagram. Okay, so the organelle responsible for sexual reproduction. Here, for you to answer the question, label I here is vacuole. Okay, this represents the foot vacuole. Then this represents the contractile vacuole, which is used for osmoregulation. And we discussed this in that video I was telling you about. Okay, then here is the oral groove, here is the gullet. Of course, you know that the oral groove and the gullet serve as the mouth and the esophagus respectively. Okay, the oral groove serve as the mouth, the gullet serve as the esophagus, which is used for swallowing, or you can say for ingestion of food materials. Okay, now here is the nucleus. We have the meganucleus and the micronucleus. Label Y here is the macronucleus, or you can call it meganucleus. That is responsible for controlling all the cellular activities of the cell. Then label II here is the micronucleus. The micronucleus is very small in size, and this nucleus is the one that is responsible for sexual reproduction in Paramecium, as the mega or macronucleus is the one that controls all the cellular activities of the cell. So from what we have in the question here, label I here is the food vacuole that stores food in the Paramecium. The label II here is the micronucleus, which is responsible for sexual reproduction in Paramecium. The label III, which is here, is the contractile vacuole, which is used for osmoregulation. Okay, the label IV, which is here, is the oral groove used for ingestion of food material. So with this now, the question is asking you which one is responsible for sexual reproduction, and here the answer is option B. B is the answer, because B here is the micronucleus that is responsible for controlling sexual reproduction. Okay, then question number two, the structure label X, you see label X here, which I told you that is known as gullet. Okay, now the question is, the structure label X is used by the organism in the same way as man used its dash. Is trying to compare the functions of these. Okay, if you are to refer this to man, what did man use the structure for? That is to say, he's trying to compare the structure of man that performs similar function as the structure label X. Okay, now what is now the function? Okay, now label X here is gullet. Gullet is used for ingestion, that is swallowing of food. Okay, and the part of the human body which is used for swallowing is esophagus. Okay, the answer to the question is option A. Okay, esophagus is for ingestion, trachea is the windpipe, that is an airway. Then stomach is for temporal storage of food for further breakdown. Then intestine is where food digestion takes place. Most food digestion end in the small intestine, that is chemical digestion. Discuss this when we did digestive system in man. Okay, then the answer is esophagus. Okay, esophagus plays the same function as label X here in Paramecium. Then question number three, The structure label Y is the dash. Label Y, what is the name of the structure label, label Y? I told you label Y here is the macronucleus. That's the name, macro. You can call it meganucleus according to some textbook. Okay. Then the next question, question number 4. The organelle responsible for the hereditary is located. That is, which of the following label I, and IV, which one contains the hereditary material? That's what the question is asking us here. Okay, the organelle responsible for heredity is label what? That is the nucleus. Okay, so before you can answer the question, you need to know which of the cellular organelles contains the hereditary material. Okay, if you know the name of the structure that contains the hereditary material, then you need to come to the diagram, look for that structure. Which structure contains the hereditary materials? Hmm? That's the nucleus. Thank you. That's the nucleus. Okay. Nucleus contains the hereditary material. Now, which of the following label here is the nucleus? Here we have II. II is the nucleus, and that contains the hereditary materials. Okay. I hope you are following. Okay. Now, the next question. This is going to be question number 5. This is question number 5. Okay. The part label IV is the dash. What is the name of the part label IV? This structure here was the name. I've discussed this in one of our last videos. Then the part label IV, this is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. If you can remember the diagram, I've explained this. So here we have mitochondria, cell wall, endoplasmic reticulum, and the nucleus. The answer is endoplasmic reticulum. I told you we have two types of endoplasmic reticulum. We have the rough, which is closer to the nucleus and has surface area for the attachment of ribosome, which makes it to look rough in appearance. Okay, while the smooth endoplasmic reticulum lies very close to the cell membrane, and because of the absence of the ribosome, that's what makes it to look smooth in appearance. Okay, but according to what we have here in the option, the answer to the question is endoplasmic reticulum. That is the name of the part label IV in the diagram. Is that okay? The rod in the retina of the eye are examples of dash. For you to answer this question, you need to know the diagram of the human eyeball. Okay, in the video we discussed before, okay, I told you that the rod and the cone are the two photosensitive cells found in the retina of the eyes. Okay, the rod is very sensitive to dim light, which I called the colorless light, which you cannot be able to dictate or interpret colors. Okay, then I say that the rod performs that functionality because of the presence of pigment known as rhodopsin or visual purple. Okay, while the cone, on the other hand, is more concentrated in the yellow spots, and that is the one that is highly sensitive for bright light. Okay, rod is more concentrated at the peripheral part of the retina, which I call the ora serrata. Then the cone is more concentrated in the yellow spots or fovea centralis, and that is responsible for bright light, which enable us to see or interpret colors. Okay, so here the question is the rod in the retina of the eye are example. You don't need to stress yourself to answer a question like this, okay, because you already know that this rod and cone are the two photosensitive cells we have in the eye. So of course here in the option the answer is cells. Okay, rod is a cell and not a tissue, not an organ, of course not a system. Question number 6. What is the level of organization of an onion bulb? Is a popular exam question. The onion bulb is at what levels of organization? The answer here is organ. Okay, onion bulb is categorized at organ level. Okay, which of the following is the simplest living organism? This question on the board is a kind of complex to some students that are not well informed about the classification and characteristics of living things. Of course, you're supposed to know that virus on its own is not a living organism. Okay, but this question being a kind of complex, the answer here should be virus because when it gets into the body of the host, it starts to behave as a living thing. Outside the body of the host, the virus is known as virion. Okay, it is known as virion outside the body of the host, and in this state it is not a living organism. It starts to behave like a living thing when it gets into the body of the host, and that is when it becomes virus. Okay, the answer to the question here is virus. Okay, because we've mentioned virus here, it have started behaving like a living thing, and because of that you can say it's the simplest living organism since it's smaller than amoeba, chlamydomonas, and paramecium. Okay, now I want you to attempt this question and drop your answers to the question in the comment section. Okay, thank you and God bless you. Please don't forget to subscribe, to share our channel. Okay, thank you and God bless you.